Hi, this is Anvel from CollectionDX, and today I'll be bringing you a video review of 25-foot Stanley Power Lock Tape Measure. Wait a minute. Wrong website. Today I'll be bringing you a video review of Revoltech Jehuty Anubis version. This is number 111 in the Revoltech Yamaguchi series, and it is from the video game series Zone of the Enders, which some of you may have heard of. The figure is pretty good sized for Revoltech. I think it's a little bit bigger than what you typically see. I'll start on out of the box. You'll have to attach the wing boosters, and I'm not sure if this is something they're doing more now, if they're doing it with all the Revoltech figures, is between all the joints you'll have to pull out these little plastic film pieces, which I assume are there to protect the paint finish of the figure. It's really time consuming and frustrating, but once you get it over with, it's over with, I guess, and not a huge deal. It's something that annoyed me a little bit. The sculpt of the figure I think is really good. I like the looks of it a lot. I'm not intimately familiar with the source material as some other people on the internet may be. I did play the original game way back in the day, and I've got some cloudy memories at best of the whole thing. So, you know, if I make some mistakes, or I'll clearly say if there's some things I don't really know about on the figure, correct me if you wish, or who cares. Anyways, sculpt is good. The paint is amazing. I don't own a whole bunch of Revoltech figures, maybe 6 or 7, and this has to be the best by far. It blows everything else I have out of the water. I couldn't find any flaws, any poorly matched seams, or you know, overbleed from the seams. All the seams are sharp and crisp. There's lots of little painted, you know, green detail spots and gold detail spots. Tons of black lining detail, which is just sharp and crisp and looks great. And the color of the paint, it's this, you know, metallic blue-green, and even the white has like a little pearl metallic in it. It just looks really good. This figure is actually a re-release of a Jehuty figure that was, I don't know, probably released 4 or 5 months ago. Don't quote me on that. But I know that the coloration is slightly different on this figure, and there are some different accessories. I don't know offhand all the changes, but I'll try to do a little more research and have a little more detail as far as the differences go in the text written review at CollectionDX.com. So let's go over, I guess, articulation on this figure. We'll start from the bottom up. These thrusters at the knee can swivel. The knee joint is a simple swivel joint that bends pretty far, and it also has a pivot point at the knee so the leg can do that. That joint's a little loose and it can cause problems. I'll touch on that in just a little bit. The hip is one standard Revoltech joint that ratchets in and out, and you can pivot it forward and back. These skirts, there's one on each side and one on the back. They're on a very small non-ratcheting Revoltech style joint. The upper waist is on a Revoltech joint. The neck, the lower neck is just a regular joint, and the upper neck is on a Revoltech joint. You can see it in there or not. So onto the arms, the hands, there's a very small non-ratcheting Revoltech joint there. It's the same one that's used at the skirt. There's a single Revoltech joint at the elbow, but for whatever reason, Kaiyodo decided to include this double joint, which you can exchange if you so desire in the elbow for better articulation. Right now you get about 90 degrees on honestly, I think that's fine. I'll put those in for the written review, and I'll try to take some comparison pictures. There's a Revoltech joint where the shoulder meets the body, and there's also a joint which I didn't realize was there at first. There's a split joint at the top of the arm, so you can kind of move the arm up or down, in or out, along a plane there, without moving it at the shoulder, which is kind of nice. You have to attach these thrusters when you take the figure out of the box. They're very, very difficult to get in. This is kind of a common thing I see with Revoltech, is hit or miss joint retention. You know, some of the joints are really loose, like the wrists come out fairly easily, but these I really had to struggle to get in. I felt like something was going to break. The same when I attached the stand, which I'll show later, to the bottom of the figure. It's getting slightly better now that I've had it on and off a few times, but I really, really thought something was going to break the first couple times I did that. So back to these thrusters. They are attached with a Revoltech joint, so you can position that, you know, however you wish to get posing up or down or in or out. And there's another small non-ratcheting Revoltech joint at the top, which allows these to open up and close individually. So I'll move on to accessories now. I'll start, well, we have one more point of articulation right there. Yeah. I don't recall if there's a reason why this cockpit has to be articulated, but it is. If there's a reason and you know it, you can leave a comment on the YouTube page or the written review at CollectionDX and let me know if there's any significance there. I certainly don't. Anyways, the figure can stand. When you take it out of the box, there's these little blue heels installed, which don't stay in very well. They tend to fall out relatively easily, but you can take those standard pieces out and put these ones in that I'll show you what they look like. They kind of give a little bit of a flat foot on the bottom, and you can get the figure to stand, but it can be somewhat difficult, especially here. I'm on a glass surface, and oh, so I did get it to stand there. Point the camera down a little bit so you can see. It will stand on its own. As I mentioned before, because of the somewhat loose pivot at the knee, the figure will tend to want to kind of go out at the knees and fall down. If you have it on something with a little more friction, it probably won't be as big of an issue, but on glass it can be difficult. So I'm going to take those out and put these back in. They'll probably fall out at some point during the duration of the review, and I'll just toss them to the side because they won't stay in. I'll probably end up gluing those at some point because this figure is going to live on a stand, most likely for everyone who has it. It's not really meant to be posed on the ground. He doesn't really do a good job at that. So let's go on to some other accessories. You'll have to attach out of the box this sword to the back of the right arm only. The other arm is actually a different sculpt, and it doesn't share the same attachment point. So you get this nice stowed sword that attaches pretty good to the back of the arm, and you also get this deployed sword, which is longer, and when you attach it to the arm it comes out the front and looks pretty good. It's painted well. It's actually got a little gold detail back in here. You don't really notice it much, but it's kind of neat that they put that on there. I guess they didn't have to, but they just went above and beyond with the paint on this figure, I think, honestly. Anyways, other accessories are a whole bunch of hands. You get kind of these default open hands. You also get the karate chop straight palm hands. And I noticed the fingers are really weird on this design. It's actually got like two thumbs on each side, kind of It doesn't look like a typical human hand, which is kind of neat. Never noticed that before. And you get a clenched fist hand. You can see that there, sorry. And the third, or I guess third type of hand, you only get one, or fourth type of hand, is this flat palm with a peg in it. And this is another piece I don't quite know the significance of. If you do and feel like commenting, go ahead. Here's the top of the Revo container, and you'll notice it's bluish gray instead of the orange that we usually see, which is kind of a nice change. You get kind of tired of those orange ones that, at least I do, you seemingly have a million of around that serve little to no purpose. But the hand is supposed to go into that, and I'm assuming that's supposed to signify something from the game or maybe the anime. I'm not sure if this design showed up in the anime or if the anime had different character designs, but that's what that's for. If you know what the significance of that, let me know. So there's another set, one last set of accessories before I move on to the stand, which will be a fairly big portion of the review, is when you open the thrusters, you get these clear blue thrust pieces, I guess I'll call them, that attach in. And this, I believe, is another difference between this version and the earlier version of this figure, where the other figure had a clear piece that had some like gold pieces attached to it. It didn't look quite like this. I could be wrong. I think I'm correct. Look for the written review for the cold hard truth. Anyways, it looks pretty cool, and I like having it kind of out to the side like that. Typically when you put it in the Revoltech joint, the thrusters will be straight back, but I kind of like to spin it around and angle it so you can see it a little more from the front, and it looks really good. I like this figure. Gives you quite a few interesting character specific effect parts that really do good with the figure and look nice. I'm glad they went this way instead of giving you like what Andrew calls the Revol Stomp thing, which I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with, and they seem to pack that in with like every Revoltech nowadays. Getting kind of tired of that one, honestly, and I never really liked it all that much. I hope they do more character specific kind of stuff in the future, because it's really cool. So now we'll talk about the stand. This figure comes with the standard Revoltech stand. Excuse me while I'm doing something off camera for a minute here and talk. But it also comes with a couple of extra parts that go with it. So here's the stand with some extra parts attached. There's this bar, which is an additional piece, which lets you attach this ring to the figure. And until you get the figure on, it can be a little lopsided or heavy to one side, but it says enemy on one side, and it has a nice painted orange ring, on the edge, which looks pretty cool. And it also has 10 attachment points. There's 5 on each side that let you attach these parts. They kind of remind me of funnels from Gundam or something like that. I believe in the game they're called options, which is kind of a throwback to Salamander or Gradius. When you power up, you could get these option parts, which would shoot, fly off your ship and shoot the enemy and stuff. And these are basically, that's what they do. They come off of the skirt. I guess this armor part is supposed to turn into these options, and they're neat. They've got a single ball joint at the middle. It's like a semi-translucent, not a ball joint, a non-ratcheting Revoltech joint. So it's kind of doesn't stand out as much because it's semi-transparent. And you get 4 of those. Somewhere I have a 4th one, right here. It's well painted, well sculpted, I guess. There's a little bit of written detail there. I don't know what it says. It says something like WH59, blah blah blah. Who cares? Anyways, I'll go ahead and try to put the figure on off camera since it's quite difficult to do. I'm not going to try to do it on screen. Okay, so this is getting easier the more times it's gone in and out, which is good and bad, I guess, because it's nice for it to be easy to get in, but hopefully over time it doesn't get so weak that it becomes a problem. So I like this ring part. It's kind of neat. It looks like it kind of jumped out of the game. You can get some really cool, flying like poses with this figure. It's, that's where it's going to excel. It is a flying, through space game. Oop, so I just knocked that out. These hold in pretty well. I tried to move the part in the axis that's not aligned with the Revoltech joint. And I'm sure if you have any Revoltechs, you're semi-familiar with that. So there's another accessory that this guy comes with, which is, well, let me attach this first just to show you. You can attach like all the accessories to this figure, which is pretty cool. Those are going pretty well, fairly easily. So the last piece, I believe it's supposed to be like a slashing effect. Here you can see it, and it attaches the same way as these options do. You can just plug it in and pose it how you want. And I don't have, for some reason, the instructions for this figure were missing, so I'm just kind of trying to go by pictures on the box and figure it out. They actually don't show this part on the box, so I don't know. This is my best guess. If I'm wrong or if there's some other significance to this part, feel free to let me know in a comment. So something like that. I don't know. Looks like he just, slashed and there's this energy thing flying out. I don't know. This piece is kind of okay. I don't think I'm going to use it, but it's another neat kind of unique accessory that I do appreciate Kaiyodo, going out and doing. I'll try to wrap this up near the 20-minute mark here. I really like this figure. I like the sculpt. I like, the fit and finish is amazing. The paint. The joints are mostly good. I mentioned before the hands are a little loose, but they're adequate enough. They may come out when you're handling the figure, but they're not going to come out on their own. The weak pivot at the knee is a little bit of a problem if you're trying to get the figure to stand up, which, let's face it, you're not. I wouldn't hold that against the toy, really. Paint, fit, and finish are, well, fit is, it's still pretty good. There were some issues with earlier Revoltechs that I had where just the stiffness of the Revoltech joint would range from, fine to very poor. All the joints are great. All the Revoltech style joints are great here. The sculpt and the paint are just amazing. Best I've seen on any Revoltech figure I own, by far. Lots of accessories. Just a really great figure if you like Zone of the Enders, or if you just think this is a cool design. If you like Hideo Kojima, the Zone of the Enders series is a Kojima game, and I don't know, Kojima didn't do this mechanical design. I'm not familiar with the designer for this. Look in the written review. I'll try to remember to look that up and add it somewhere in the text. But it's a great, cool figure. It even has, little painted fingernails, and it looks really sharp. It is a little, high on the price point. I feel like on every review nowadays I say this. So it's kind of losing its merit, I guess, when every figure you buy seems like it's expensive. Then deal with it, I guess, because it's the way the industry's going. And the way the exchange rate is unfortunately going, although there has been a little bit of a reprieve somewhat recently. I'm looking for the price point on the box. I believe it's around 2,900 yen, which, you know, a few years ago that'd be a cool, you know, 25 bucks or something. Nowadays, you know, you're pushing 40 or 50 to get this thing purchased and shipped to the U.S. It's a little up there, but you know, if you want it, get it. I can't say that enough. You're gonna buy this figure if you're a fan of the design, if you like the design. You're gonna buy it, and you can probably save some money if you go back and buy the earlier release, which didn't come with as many accessories as well. Now, they're also coming out with a Anubis figure at some point in the future. If you're looking for that, that'll be a cool one. I'm sure it'll be hopefully on par with this one in terms of quality and finish. You know, but if you want a Jehuty, this is it. There aren't many options for this character figure out there. You've got Kotobukiya plastic injection kit coming up, and that's all that comes to my mind. So you'll either buy this or you'll buy that if you're a kit builder, I guess. But it's not going to look like this out of the box. You can go online and find some pictures, and it's going to take a lot of work, you know, to get that figure to this paint, you know, finish and detail level. So this is Anavel signing off. If you want a Revoltech Jehuty, go to Hobby Link Japan and get one for yourself.